Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. This is Starlight Activation. I am Anthony and welcome to my story. So from the last video that was posted on the channel until the filming of this one, it's been another 24 hours. And I can tell you that I have been blessed with more messages coming through from different channelers that I've never listened to a channel before that just popped on my YouTube video feed. And I have said this from the beginning, that when the Divine first introduced my aquascaping theme to me and then encouraged me to start my aquascaping channel, it was just months after that that I woke up spiritually. And I was compelled to start this channel as well to document my progression, to document my, at that time I didn't know I was going to have a transition, but to really, that's what we're doing. We're documenting the transition, and I'm telling you open and plain language exactly what's going on to me when it happens, as much as possible, considering my flight schedule. So I thought today I would give you a different view of your video area. This is where the channel, of course I am just turned around from the tanks that you normally see because my studio is tiny. On the top row, that is my Trinity series, and this first one on the left there for you guys, this is Garden of Eden. Garden of Eden has an Adam and an Eve sculpture in wood that I found in nature. Garden of Eden also has a serpent snake, and I'm not lying, it's the size of a tiny snake. It is coiled like a snake. It has a mouth that's open like a snake. It is glorious. It's something that Mother Nature has always provided for me, a theme for every one of my tanks, and they're always religious. In the middle, it's Turtle in Motion, which references a very spiritual trip I was on in Barbados when I helped to rescue baby sea turtles. And the last one on the end here is called Bird on a Wire. When I saw this stick, I saw the image of a bird, and then the wire is the stick coming out with heavily planted with Buspalandra plants on it. But even down here, the one to the left that you can see the most of, that is the Tree of Life, which is another, of course, spiritual component to that. The Tree of Life is my one attempt in an Irigumi style aquascape. And so every one of my tanks, when I go out into nature, Mother Nature guides me and I find something, whether it is the wood I use, the rocks I use, the gravel I use, in some cases the sand I find, because my aquascaping channel is a DIY channel, and we try to do this hobby for a lot less than the regular. So I thought it would be nice to point that out since, well, we just have lights that came up. Since you've got another view now, and now you're seeing the studio in full circle. So that being said, let's get started with the first of two. Now, I only have one page of notes. So this one that came through, which was quite surprising for me, it was Lumen Moon Tarot, and she did a video on divine messages only, but it was specific to Cancer. Cancer, this is why you're so valuable in God's plan was the title of the video. People will be amazed by your story. That is her theme that she repeats constantly through this in different messages that pop up. So the messages came to me extremely profound, that these were only divine messages coming through. So it wasn't angels, it wasn't her interpreting the tarot. These were her pulling the deck of cards that she was prompted by the divine to pull up for the messages going out for this collective. And I normally, I haven't listened to her channel recently because it was filtering a lot about my ex, my estranged husband. A lot. And it was just too much. I've already blocked him. I have no, if he wants to bring forward an apology, I'll listen to the apology, but that's it. Everything else to me is him playing one of his games, his ego games. And so, this message, when it was from Divine Messages, I thought, okay, this one should be different, and it was. Okay, so question mark. Amazing stories. Now, why she put the question mark there, it says, your comeback from struggle to success. That is the amazing story. This really emphasizes that on this channel she's talking to one particular type of entity that's in the collective, and she spells it out specifically, and it just blew my mind away. It really did. Everything she said resonated with me. People will be telling your story for years to come. She also said one of the first messages that came through when she really got into it after her introduction is, you kept your skills hidden in order to fit in. And oh my gosh, that one jumped out at me. And I started crying whenever that one happened. That's what I did my whole life. Being bullied your whole life and ridiculed and made fun of and pushed down, you don't express anything. And plus, I was raised half of my life in a small rural town of only 3,000 people that was mostly farming and oil, and a lot of wealthy families, and then those of us who were not. And so I was already on the bottom rung, what you would call socially in your peer group. And my classmates, I only had like 40 something classmates all together in my class. And when you stood out for the wrong reason, you did hide that and you tried to fit in. Oh wow, that one really did. That really opened up something that I needed to address back again with my teenager, and offer support and love for that part of myself. Someone is realizing what a true gem they had. Now that is what is going on with my estranged husband. He has been awakened to the fact of what he had. He knows my power. He knows my ability. He knows I have him blocked. He did try to attempt to contact me. We talked about that on the last video, and I stated in prayer that I am not going to answer anything unless it starts off with an apology. And his text message did not start off with an apology. It didn't even contain a semblance of an apology. So no, he'll still be blocked. You're very creative. You may have started a business or a hobby, a platform. You have a platform and people are watching you transform. Okay, so that one just jumped out at me because you're very creative. Yes, I always have been. I always thought it because I was gay. I always thought, I was blessed with the gay gene where I could make I literally, and I'm going to say this truthfully, I have had so many passions in my past. Like, I was a passive house flipper, where I would move into a property. And now I've never had money, never, ever had money. I've had to scrape together all the money I've ever had. And the first house I flipped by myself only cost me $23,000. So you guys are thinking, wow, that's really cheap. Yeah, it was. It was in a really poor neighborhood where nobody wanted to invest in. And these were little 1920s to 1940s little craftsman houses, that little 2 bedrooms. And it was basically widow women and gay men that moved in. And we became the boys of the neighborhood. And I had so many amazing grandmothers around me for the first time in my life, because I didn't grow up with grandparents. I never knew what grandparents were like because I never had any. And I adored all the ladies that lived around me. And I actually ended up buying, through the passing of one of my neighbors, her house from her children, and they carried the mortgage for me. It was a private mortgage because I couldn't afford anything. I was going to university and I was working as a nurse aide in nursing homes on the weekend from Friday night to Monday morning. I lived there. And so I did not have the money. And I was raising my child. Okay, those of you who know why I'm wearing the bandana, this is for China Li Shengfu. She was my black Chinese pug, and she was my daughter, and I had her for 16 years. When I stated out my independence and moved out on my own from an ex, the one thing I wanted was a pet. And I love Chinese pugs, and I found her, and I should do a whole video about it, how she conned me. She picked me, I didn't pick her. And I have spoken through a medium to her in the past, and she's still with me. I still sense her, which is amazing. But anyway, what that was really amazing is a business or a hobby, because I want my hobby to become a business. I want aquascaping to become a business. I would love this platform to become some type of outreach to people, to help and to inspire. And it aligns with my goals before I knew that my goals aligned with the divine. And we find out in this message about that. That's what's so cool about this. You are in some sort of a spotlight. You have unique talents. You are rare, and your struggles were difficult. Oh, Lord, were those struggles difficult? Yes, I can say that. The talents. Okay, another thing I was going to talk about. Not just being a passive house flipper, I've also been an interior designer, and I've realized that I had a special skill with that. That I'm not the kind that has to go in. I could sit with the person and I could discuss how maybe their room was rearranged the wrong way. Maybe we could change the color of a wall. Not about, redoing an entire space and gutting everything out. No, keeping what you have, reusing what we can use, and using it in different ways with different colors. That was my specialty, just going in and helping people rearrange and put order into a room. So that was something that I had. I'm also a painter. I also used to do yarn work. I've always been super creative though, and I just thought it was because I was gay. Anyway, but I know that all gay people are not creative, because I had tons of gay friends, guys and girls, that had not an ounce of creativity in their bodies. So yes, this is from the divine from the beginning. Built something rock solid. That is your purpose. Rock solid. Hello, there's rocks in my tanks. I believe that is not just a metaphor. That is like a full-on, you're doing what your passion is. And I believe I'm doing my passion, because in 2 of my tanks I have miracle colors of shrimp that don't exist. Now, I'm not talking about in nature. I'm talking about shrimp that have been engineered to be a very specific color. I've had shrimp that were that color that bred an opposite color that are in my tanks that are nowhere else. And I know there's miracles going on in my tanks. And so I talk about that all the time in my prayer meditations, because I want to be known as a shrimp breeder that has these beautiful, unique colors that you find nowhere else in the world. So that's just a plug. Others are going to be amazed by the changes you have made, how someone can have such a comeback. Now, every time I've left every relationship, I have lost everything. I have always been the one who walked away, always. I think it was a self-preservation backbone inside me that I knew when it was time to exit, and I knew it was time to start over. And every time I lost half of what I had or more. But it never bothered me, because I never had it. It was never money that I was really losing. It was property that maybe I was losing, which equates to money. But back then the property wasn't even worth that much. It was worth a lot to me, because I put blood, sweat, and tears into every place I had remodeled that I was living in. And it was my passion. And China loved doing it with me. I mean, there was times when she would try to get up on the ladder with me. There was one time she climbed up 5 rungs on a ladder until I could lean down and get her and hold her while I was sitting at the top of the ladder, and she would always sit in my lap. She would sit in my lap. She was not afraid. While I would be doing whatever I'm doing with a wall or a ceiling or whatever. If I was sitting on the floor, on a pillow, scooting around, doing something, she was always on my lap. That's how amazing our connection was. You are following the divine. Yes, amen to that. Confirmation right there. It doesn't get any more plain spoken for me. And it doesn't matter when I'm talking with someone I have family members that do not believe in God, and I use my patience with them, because I realize how dangerous that is. That opens you up to so much evil and pain in your life, because you have no protection. You don't believe in protection, and that saddens me. So I work the full spectrum. I worked with people who absolutely do not believe in a God, and then I try to use my life as an example. So I was already kind of doing this. I just didn't know this was my purpose. So, because it really kind of confused me in the beginning when I first woke up, and they always talked about your purpose. And I was like, well, I don't know what my purpose is. I thought as a light worker, I was just supposed to, be a light worker. But no, there's way more to it. Showing your talents to the world now that you do not, showing your talents to the world now. My talents meaning the things that I hid. That's what she's referring back to. Because I don't care what others think of me. That's it right there. When I gave up the 3D notion that I had to really care what people thought about me, that's when a lot of stress just melted away. When you don't care and you can live your life authentically, state your purpose, state your mission, state your intentions, and live them. Like I've told you before on our videos here, that when I go out in prayer and meditation, one of the things I pray to and ask for guidance from is my angel posse that help me stand in my light, speak my truth, and be on my highest and best path forward. They're a core group of angels that's their sole purpose in helping me. And that's my guiding light right there. And my intuition is directly from either ancients, angels, the divine directly. And a lot of times, if I don't get the message or a dream or something like that coming through, I hear a channeled message within either, minutes to maybe 12 hours later that confirmed what I was asking about in a prayer session. So I am blessed the fact that I can get my answers so quickly. It's been amazing to me that one time it was just minutes that I got an answer from the divine, and I was just blown away. The beauty in giving up all my human fears, dependencies, irrationality, conformity, and embrace more of my humanity and what I know is right and wrong. That's my compass. You treat people the way you want to be treated. You use Jesus' examples in the New Testament. I'm fearful I have to say that out loud because a lot of people don't even acknowledge it. They live into the Old Testament, which is wrong. You follow what Jesus' teachings were. You look what Jesus did. He healed, he fed, he nurtured the needy and the poor and the unwanted. And that's our job. Our job is to be human again to each other. People can see who you are. People can see you are highly favored by God and protected. Even your haters will believe from your story and your transformation. Yes, there are people out there that absolutely make fun of this, that think this is all some type of a BS, that don't understand the transformation, especially the ones that are what I call the holy rollers, that believe in this altered version of God that's evil and vindictive, and their job is to be a white supremacist and to push down anyone that's not white. Trust me, I've been raised with them. I know how they think. I have myself faced hooded KKK members and was scared to death for my life. But I stood my ground and I did not receive one blow. I and the group I was with overshadowed their chanting with religious songs. We went into religious singing right in front of them and walked right past them. They were there with guns, boards, rocks, and we stood our ground. I'm not going to tell you I didn't wet my pants because I was scared to death because I was at the front with my best friend. And we just made it through. We made it through that storm. So I have seen firsthand how I have been protected and did not realize it at the time. So that's why a lot of times I think the story that she's narrating here is that the story of my transformation, the entire story of the transformation, the origin from birth is where it starts. The birth that was unwanted and cast out and abandoned. That's where my story starts. You'll be opening others' eyes to what is possible by opening their hearts to God. I love that. And being a huge inspiration. You are a light worker. Oh, here's where she broke it down. She's talking to one person that has these three qualities: a light worker, an earth angel, a divine being who is in your purpose, very comfortable with your abilities, skills, and talents, living proof of what is possible and real. You are the eye opener to leading people to the divine. Confirmation of your purpose is helping to lead people to God. You are valuable in God's plan. All of this just it was just one beautiful confirmation to me after another. And I really reflected on this afterwards about that she is saying that people are going to be talking about this for years to come. And I thought, okay, this is a great reason why that the divine encouraged me to start this video diary, because I've been logging in every single thing that has happened to me and my transformation. We've talked about dark night of the soul. We've talked about when I felt excluded from the divine, when I had to heal all the wounds from my infancy to being a preteen, teenager, young adult. And we've gone through, and I probably should do one video about every single time I was touched by the hand of God. And I can explain every single one of those episodes of how it happened and what happened, and how it saved me at that time. It's been the divine who's been saving me my entire life. My family never did. I didn't come from a family that was that loving of a family. I was a disappointment to my father because I wasn't that male child that he wanted. I was an adoption, and I think there was always because I wasn't his child physically. I was a relative of his, but I wasn't his child. And then I was a disappointment because I was effeminate, and then I turned out to be full-on gay. And then I confronted him and our family Bible at the same time after I went through 2 years of Bible study. And I proved my point that his viewpoint on the world was wrong. And he actually never admitted it, but he said that my points were valid, and he was proud of me for standing up for myself. Now, that didn't work for my sisters. I had 2 older sisters that he just constantly berated them. But after that point, he never gave me an issue with being gay. And so that was another one of the battles I had to fight with the divine alongside with me. So the point about being an inspiration, I think the videos here can be an inspiration when this channel gets picked up and gets viewership. I think that's when I'm going to see a difference in how people can watch a video and relate something maybe to what they've gone through, or they can understand if they watch this diary as it's intended from the very beginning, they'll see the progression with the divine and my spirituality and coming into my own statement of who I am. I am royalty. I come from a royal line that wore crowns. So I know I'm royal. I'm an empress, emperor energy. I don't back down now. I don't concede for anyone. I speak my truth. So the lovely part of that is that I am secure enough now in knowing who I am and my status. I know my value. I know my worth. Not everyone gets a personal visitation by Archangel Michael that's going to usher in that things are going to start happening for you. So I had to give up that inadequacy fear that I was just one person. No, I am adorned with gifts and abilities to help me in this world. And it makes sense that the divine would choose a vessel is not what you would think would be the vessel for this. It makes sense of growing up through turmoil and torture, and yes, I said torture, for a reason, torture on a different level, mind games between my parents, and then physical abuse and bullying to the extent where I wanted to end my life several times. It takes that kind of an individual that can grow from all that and use those skills to show progress and love and light, and to be a beacon for others, because we have fought the hard battle. I have fought that battle. If you're listening to this video and you have something similar, I hope this encourages you to stand up and claim your right with the divine, that you need to join. You guys will remember, if you watched any of the other videos, the one where I did the healing of my homeland in Scotland. And after that video, I felt inclined to do a special prayer for the victims of the Exodus from my homeland that were because of my ancestors. It was a karmic curse, generational curse that was placed on my lineage that I broke. Once I broke that curse and I healed the land, I did a special prayer meditation for the individuals that had been transgressed on. And I invited them to come into the light. But they had to give up the darkness. They had to join the divine and me. And I was requesting that they become part of my spirit team and give up their ways and embrace the light and the divine. No one came over, but I felt it was important to do it. So that I put the offer out there. No one took it. It could mean that all of those people have gone on into other lives now and are completely different. Maybe they've healed themselves, but I felt it was important to do that. So these are things that I don't know if I come up with or if the divine comes up with it and it's in my head. But it's things that I've been doing, like I've told you guys several times on these videos. I'll do something and then I'll learn right afterwards why I did that. I don't know why I'm doing it in the first place. I'm guided to do it. It's like my tree family, experiencing the beauty of being with the trees. Oh my gosh, that was the amazing thing. I never knew I could do that. I just did it. And I've done it again and again, and it's been amazing. So there's two more pieces that we're going to talk about. Something that was massive confirmation and finally gave me an answer and a resolution to a problem. So Maluna Tarot, which I've talked about on the channel before, she came out and she's doing a reading. And she's talking about two people. She's talking about a narcissistic past connection that I've blocked, which that's going to be my estranged husband. And she said, when she got a message, she said, marriage. They may have married out of fear. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. The reason why I married my husband so quickly after meeting him is that he was in the country, and his passport, he had been a flight attendant, and he said the last time he worked a flight, they didn't log him passport out of showing him leaving the U.S. So when he came back into the U.S. as a visitor, he had very little time, and it was about to expire. And I just said, why don't we get married? And he said yes. I think he said yes out of fear. I know he said yes out of fear now. He was afraid he was going to be sent back. And he didn't want to be sent back. So what that did for me, what that confirmation did for me, gave me just instant clarity. The reason why he did all that crap to me and treated me the way he did, breadcrumbed and bombed and vacated and a brick wall and no communication, no emotion, was because he never loved me in the beginning. It was a line he fed me that I believed based on my vision that said I was supposed to marry him. I didn't question it. I did love him when I asked him. I fell in love with him instantly. And we were supposed to be each other's twin flames. Well, he was wearing a mask the entire time. His true feelings were the opposite. He was just using me. He just wanted money. He wanted a green card. He got his citizenship. And when he did, as soon as he got his green card, he was out. He was gone. And he took my car. And that's what caused a whole avalanche of financial debt for me, is that I had to get my car back. And by the time I got my car back, the value had been depleted by $10,000 from what it sold for. So I still owe $10,000 on a car that I no longer had because it had been sold at auction. And when I saw the condition of it, I was horrified. The car was not even 2 years old, and it was wrecked on the inside. Like someone had poured white paint in the interior and never cleaned it up. It was awful. The shape of the car was awful. So when she said married out of fear, it made complete sense. I was never valuable to him in the beginning. For him, it was a means to an end. Now, because of his treatment, the divine is having him, his karma is he is desiring what he lacked with me. So now he is up every single night. He cannot get me off his mind. He's remembering the glimpses of his life before, and he knows that I was an earth angel. He knows what he gave up, and he knows he can't claim it ever again. He knows he's locked out. And so all he does is try to send these stupid little messages every once in a while to get me to respond, which I will not. Hands down. But it gave me clarity, and it finally let me understand why, the whole why of it. Now, I understand that was a karmic lesson I had to go through. Every one of my exes had took from me in some way more than what I gave. They took more from me than what they ever gave to me. Every relationship was out of balance. I overgave every time, and I thought that was just because I was a Cancer. It may be because I was abandoned as an infant. It may have been because I was bullied and felt less than. All those little things that you carry with you, that baggage into your adult life, was playing out in every single relationship I had. And finally, with him, I had had enough. And finally, as of yesterday, I got confirmation it's because of fear that he married me. So it answered all my questions immediately. I was like so thankful. I mean, my gosh, I was bawling like crazy. I was talking the entire time to my guides while I was listening to the messages, and I just kept going over things. And man, I was just an emotional wreck after it because I had gone through 2 messages together that just wiped me out. But here's the one. For those of you who have watched the videos, this one's gonna resonate with you. Your new soulmate, that's the person coming forward, the kingdom spouse, the past life connection. Her name could be Robert. Oh, shut the book. For those of you who remember, when I was having all the visions of an individual and the name Robert kept coming up, and I thought this guy's name was Robert. If you watch that video, you know that I actually contacted him through a text message, through a dating app, and I asked him one question. He answered with one word. I read his energy. I knew he couldn't be a kingdom spouse. I knew he could not be aligned with me, and I was furious. I went ahead and asked my question, and I said, does your name contain the word Robert? And he said no. So I knew he was a test, and I was pissed because I was getting tested. Honestly, I was, but I've given up on that now. Realized that test was there for a reason. But the name stays intact. So the guy that I met when my Jeep broke down, his name could be Robert, which is beautiful for me. So when the meeting comes for us to meet, and I literally am introduced to him, if his name is Robert, one of 2 things is going to happen. I'm going to hug him and kiss him immediately, or I'm going to run out and start yelling to my guides about, oh my God, I can't believe his name is Robert, and I'm going to be giggling like crazy. So it's going to be one of 2 scenarios, so stay tuned for that. So I hope you guys, I hope this video resonates for everyone. Or someone, at least someone out there, that yes, you can go through the trials and tribulations, and you could reach your reward. You could be on your path. My path brings me nothing but light and love. Being here surrounded by my tanks and the miracles I see here, when I'm a flight attendant and I get to interact with my passengers and I work with my light there and my intuition and I receive love in return, it doesn't exhaust me. The trip is exhausting, but that doesn't exhaust me. I want to be able to do something that's natural like that. And my intent is to do something like this channel, to be on a larger speaking scale, stage, to be able to reach people and to help. That's what I want to do. That's my goal. That's my life goal there. It's just to live out the rest of my life with a happy relationship, aquascaping as my business, and being able to talk to people about spirit and what it has done for me and what it can do for you. So until our next video update, I wish you guys nothing but light and love, and have an amazing day, and thanks for sharing your time with me.